I kind of combine burning, but then symbolism, but I'm also painting it. So a lot of times traditional pyrography.
Welcome to the show, Jackie Lewis.
Hi. Joining you from Tennessee. I don't know if across the pond, however they say it, if you guys are familiar with Nashville, home of country music, but I'm pretty close to there. Whatever. I don't know the proper phrasing.
I think in the UK we don't use water. I think it's over the hill. I'm not sure. I'd have to double check.
There's hills. Well, I mean, I guess there's some hills. I mean, I've got mountains to the east of me, so I guess technically.
There's hills all around me, but oh well. So you started your artwork when you were about 6 years old, but it wasn't until very recently that you got into pyrography artist.
So it's pronounced pyrography, and it literally means to write with fire. So it's actually a very ancient art form. Like it's been around for ages. I mean, it almost links back to branding. So, if you think about like over here, like cattle, like they would brand cattle, to mark, which farmer or rancher owned. So it's almost related to that. But now obviously it's taken on a different medium and it's more art, but even I'm trying to think like back to like pottery too, like again back to branding, like when you started getting into like mass production of things, like they would make tons of teapots, like each artist or manufacturer would have like their own logo or brand that would go on so that you knew it was like an authentic, version of whatever. So it's kind of related to that because you're literally using like a hot iron to make artwork. So like I've got some samples sitting behind me that I can bring closer to the screen here in a second. But yeah, I've been doing that medium, I want to say about 8 years now. So I am part of an artist gallery here in Clarksville where I live, and we kind of fluctuate in the number of members, but sometimes we're up to like 45 members. And it's just trying to figure out how to stand out because there's a lot of painting, there's a lot of photography, a lot of jewelry, which I was originally doing jewelry when I started, but I just felt like I was kind of getting lost in the shuffle because everybody was doing that. And so trying to stand out and actually get people to notice your work and purchase your work, I was like, what can I do that's different than anybody else in this gallery? And so I had a really cheap burner that was actually like a dual function soldering iron, which I do know how to solder as well. I grew up, it's a long story, but I basically grew up in a factory. My parents owned electronics business. So I learned to solder at a very young age. So I started with a really cheap, junky tool and started just kind of playing around with it, made a piece, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I kind of like it. Maybe I'll enter it in this art competition, just see what happens. And I ended up winning first place. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm good at this. So I just kind of kept going with it. And people started to recognize my art. And there's a lot of people that do it, especially post pandemic. I feel like during COVID shutdown, people were stuck at home looking for new hobbies, things to do. And so when I first started, I didn't really know very many people doing it. But after that, like, there's just an explosion of tons of artists doing it. But everybody kind of has their own unique style and way of doing it. So yeah, I just keep kind of pushing along and trying new stuff and hopefully getting better. I think I'm getting better.
How would you describe your own style of pyrography?
Pyrographies. You could just call it wood burning. Most people just say wood burning. It's easier.
Like you were saying, with there was an explosion with it after COVID, and you use it to stand out. How would you say your style aided with standing out in your local art?
I mean, most of the time when you look up wood burning, like you'll see a lot of traditional, at least over here, like a lot of Western influence. You'll see like skulls or animals, like a lot of nature, mountain scenes, that sort of thing, which I also do a lot of nature, but I've tried to get more modern with it and try to vary the subject matter so that it's not always just like buffalo or fish or not that there's anything wrong with that, but just I try to change it up. So like I can bring this one piece.
Go ahead.
This is one I did like last year. Sorry, it's huge. So just kind of a modern interpretation of the biblical character Lilith. Um, so I kind of combine burning, but then symbolism, but I'm also painting it. So a lot of times traditional pyrography is just burning and shading. They don't necessarily start painting. So I paint with acrylics over it, and kind of do a combination of things. So, and then I like to work with live edge wood too. So a lot of people will purchase smaller boards online and just do smaller scale stuff. But I just like to go out and try to find pieces of wood that have like a unique shape or a unique grain to them. Sometimes there's holes in the boards, so that kind of adds to the interest of the piece. So that's one. But I mean, I do some traditional stuff. Like this would be a little more traditional subject matter, and this might be easier to sell, somebody hang it in their kitchen or something. It just depends on your style, I have a guitar behind me. I did a guitar. So hoping that at some point somebody will purchase that, but it's basically a Fender Strat with design on it. So. Yeah. So I don't really know how to describe it because I feel like I'm kind of always evolving. Like some of the pieces back here, I started taking abstract painting lessons because that's actually my favorite form of art is abstract. But it's hard to do abstract with pyrography because it's so specific. Like once you put the burner down, like you can't move your line. It's like a permanent line. It's a defined line. Whereas, with painting, you can move your brush strokes and get kind of wild with it and manipulate it and move it around. You can't do that when you're burning. Like once you put a mark down, like you can't just manipulate it and move it like it's permanent. So trying to figure out how to combine the burning and the abstract together has been kind of my challenge for myself over this last year.
It's somewhat like getting a tattoo. So as you're saying, when you line it in, it's permanent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of the same with a tattoo where you do the art on someone's say leg and then it's stuck there. Yes, you can cover it up. Yes, you can try and hide it, but at the end of the day, once it's done,
it's not moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And actually I feel like there's several people that are wood burning artists that are actually also tattoo artists. Because it is kind of a similar idea, only it's wood instead of skin. I've had people ask, like, hey, could you design tattoos? I'm like, I probably could, but I can't put it on you unless you physically want me to burn your skin. Like that would be extremely painful. That'd be horrible, actually. Probably worse than a tattoo, to be honest.
Giving me that image in my head now. I'm like, yeah, I know. Stop! This is what you asked for, so stop complaining. Like something out of a horror film right there. It's like,
for sure.
How do you push yourself, artist, when you're entering your abstract art styles?
I mean, it really depends. Sometimes it's emotionally driven. Sometimes, like right now, I'm working on a series for a gallery here that's going to be music influenced. So I don't know. I've always been really heavily into music. So I was just laying there thinking like, okay, what can I do? What can I do? And I'm like, I think it's pretty common for a lot of people. Like you hear a certain song and it'll trigger a memory or something to a certain time in your life. So I just started kind of going through the different phases of my life. Like, okay, when I was in elementary school, like when I was a child, what was I listening to at that time? And then I went through like middle school, high school, college, post graduation, like just different times in my periods in my life, what was I listening to at that time, like, and how did that influence how I was feeling or what I was going through at that time. So right now I'm kind of working through that, and it is tricky, but that's also a part of abstract art. Is it's not so much necessarily an image of something in particular, it's more feeling driven. Which is maybe part of the reason I like it. I've met a lot of people that are like, I don't get abstract art. Like, what is it? And it's like, well, it's not necessarily something in particular. It's a feeling. And so for me, that's a challenge. Not that I don't feel, but trying to figure out how to take those feelings and turn it into something that is physical without forming it into something. Like, how do you keep it abstract and not find yourself like, oh, I'm really happy today, and then start painting a smiley face? Like, yeah, like you can't, because my brain, like my background's in architecture, which is very structured. I just finished a second degree in graphic design, which is also very structured. Like you're looking for a solution to something, which is solid and concrete, and abstract forces you to get out of that and not immediately picture a specific image. It's more like how you turn the emotions into colors, into movement. So for me, that's definitely been challenging, but I think I'm getting there.
Say your entire work is under one word structure. As you're saying with the architecture, the graphic design, and now the wood burning, they all have this structure, and because graphic design you can be a bit flexible, but architecture and wood burning you got to be so precise. That adds a layer of complexity challenge.
For sure. Yeah, you have to like turn off one part of your brain and turn on the other. And so yeah, it's definitely, but it's good because I feel like it's a good balance. Like there's part of my life that I love graphic design. I like working with clients and figuring out, okay, what's the solution to your business? Like, if I'm designing a logo for somebody, like how do you express what your business does without being literal, but still capturing the essence of that business? But it's still like a very physical, technical thing. Like you're sitting there on the computer, like getting everything just right and moving pixels around and just, it's still very like structured and controlled. So I think that's why I enjoy branching out and trying to do other art, because it kind of gives my brain a break from that. Like I kind of need that balance of it too.
Would you say also one part of your brain rests by you
Yeah.
focus on this and you focus on that? The other can take
Yeah, for sure. I feel like that's a big part of my life. Like I have a lot of different things that I try to use for balance. It's like, okay, my art and that my design is all like very mental. But then I love working out. And so then that's like my physical release. So it's like I always kind of have like this constant balance of like everything I do to try to like, I don't know, it's just good stress relief, I think. Because if you're always doing like one thing and pressuring yourself to do that one thing, like your body, your mind doesn't get a break. So I always feel like I have to kind of just even it out. And
go back to a point that you mentioned earlier where you're using your life and your music current art piece, and it's quite common with comedians as well, as artists as well, where their art and their creative and outlet is a reflection of your life. How would you say your artwork?
I mean, I feel like sometimes it does reflect me. Other times it might just reflect like the things that are going on around me, or maybe just my interpretation of the things that are going on around me. I feel like you can't really make art and not have a little bit of you in it. I don't know. Unless you're somebody that's just mass producing things for sale, maybe. I mean, and there are people that are just like, oh, I'm gonna make this bat, and I'm gonna make 1,000 bat keychains. I don't know. I'm just making it up random here. Now, maybe they're a bat enthusiast, and I'm just getting that wrong. But I think there's a difference between making fine art and trying to express something with it versus just making something for production, and you're just making it as a goods to sell. I feel like there's a difference in that. But then, yeah, I mean, that's the thing with art, is it's always open to interpretation. So, but I think there is a difference between mass production of something versus, having one piece that you're just trying to express something in, or share something, or you're trying to communicate something through it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, because I think it's also someone's perception as well. Because I've learned quite recently, other everything else I've been, where you can take some people who were like siblings who grew up in the same environment. One will say, my childhood was awful, and the say sister say, no, our childhood was great. What you on about? But it's all their perception, same background. I think that kind of influenced the art as by an artist. And as you were saying with the mass production thing, have you ever seen that South Park episode where, yeah, I know, weird example, but it's actually quite fitting there, where I forget the exact context, but the boys are Eric and all that were tasked with mass producing like these little model boats, which they done really well with. But they were making a commentary on it where, because it was being mass produced, there was so many mistakes along the way. I think one had a I haven't seen it in ages, but one had a dodgy sail. I think the hole on another one was a bit off, and the design was a bit. But that's my point with the mass-produced thing. It's like you kind of lose the soul, but with that with the mass-produced, everyone wants it, but with a unique piece, one-off, but it's got some heart in it.
Maybe, yeah, I'm not quite. I did not see. Honestly, I haven't watched South Park in a very long time. Until recently, it's been popping up in my feed a lot with the whole political commentary over here, and I'm just like, it's hilarious. I've been enjoying the clips I've been seeing. So not to try to get political on this show. There's a lot of us frustrated over here right now. I'll just say that.
I
Um,
personally don't really talk much about politics. I thought I'd bring you.
it's a yeah, that's a whole rabbit hole there.
We've got enough problems in the UK with it, and I don't know what's going on. Even better.
Yeah, I mean, anyways. Yeah, no. I mean, I definitely do know people that mass produce stuff, and that's good on them. Like, they've found a way to make a living at it. Which I make artwork. I do sell artwork. Do I make a living at it? No. That's why I went back to school to do graphic design, because it's hard because you never know. I feel like art sales are always, you got to be in the right place at the right time. The right person's got to walk past you. I mean, sometimes I'll put up a piece and the first person that sees it's like, I want that. And it's like, okay, like today's a good day. And then other times I'll have a piece for a few years until the right person comes along. So you just never know, when the right buyer is going to come along. So just hit or miss. I don't know. Because you got to have, I feel like with an art purchase, again, like the person that's seeing it's like, how are they interpreting it? Does it resonate with them? Like, is there an emotional connection? Because I feel like people buy artwork because of emotional connection to a piece. Like, oh, wow, like that just really resonates with me. And so, you just got to find your people, I guess.
Let's say that when it comes to art set, you were saying about the emotional then someone connects with art. So for me, I really like Dragon. I don't know why, I just really do. But then where I'm going with this, a bit where art is a lot similar to a business. And you said that you make a piece. Someone comes and first person sees it and is like, what that? Then a few years later, you might have made another piece the same day, but then someone finally buys it. There's some kind of business art in general with buying and selling.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I've been selling my own artwork like professionally for about 10 years now. Basically, when I joined the gallery, and then I'll do shows and travel around. I'll enter competitions. So it's a whole thing. But it's just like any other small business. You've got your social media, and that's probably the part that I'm bad at, because I just want to make art. Like some artists are really good at like, look at this really cool video I made for Instagram. And I'm just like, I could do that. I have the technical knowledge. Like I could get into Adobe Premiere and make really cool flashy videos with lasers. And no, I'm joking. But I don't want to spend hours of my life producing things for social media. So maybe that's where I'm failing. I don't know. But I just want to make art, like actual physical art that connects with people. And I really enjoy like showcasing my artwork, having the shows, having the receptions, and actually talking one-on-one with people face to face. Like, what do you see? How do you feel? Like that. I feel like that's the enjoyable part of the art, aside from making it, is actually talking to people, making connections with people. That's the part that I enjoy. And then I also do a lot of commission work. So people will hire me to make something specific. So I've started making a lot of tables. I have a background in furniture building as well. Started doing tables where I do burning and painting on the tables as well. So, but I mean, again, just like any other business, just like graphic design, just like architecture, you have clients, you're working with people to find out, okay, what are their needs? What do they want? What is their aesthetic? So I do a lot of commission work as well too. I've done portraits, I've done inserts for the back of cars, I've done throwing axes, I've done custom hammers, anything and everything that can be burned, basically. So yeah, but that's fun too, because that's like a whole new challenge. Like, hey, have you ever burnt this? And like people will just bring me things, and it's like, well, no, but let's give it a go. So
Like an arsonist right there. It's like, oh, have you burned this car? No, but I want to give it a go.
I mean, if somebody actually had wood in their car, I could probably do it.
No,
I
in
don't know
my
if
head
that's
I
very
thought,
common these days.
my head I thought they bought you a fully like a proper scale size of a wooden car. Say, hey, can you burn a design into this? And you to be like, yeah, let's go. And we're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's not much that I say no to, other than people need to understand. Like, one guy wanted me to burn a guitar for him, and I'm like, well, you do have to understand, like, this has like a full lacquer finish on it. It's been painted. Like, I can't burn on that. So I would literally have to strip the wood down to bare wood that I can burn on it because I don't want to burn through paint. That would ruin my tools. And not only that, the fumes from burning through paint, and it probably wouldn't look very good. So
Oh, great. Now it looks like something else.
yeah. Yeah. So like when I did this one, I started with raw wood, burnt the whole design in, and then painted it and then put the finish on. So sometimes that is a challenge because people don't necessarily understand my process. Like, no, I have to start with like raw wood, like no finishes on it, no paint, just plain wood. And then, then we'll put the finish on afterwards. But yeah.
If you are so dependent on the raw wood, was it from start to finish?
Yeah. So I have a guy that I know here in Tennessee. He's actually a furniture builder. And so people will literally just bring him entire trees. He has a sawmill. He'll actually cut it down into planks. And then he just has barns that he just stores everything and just stacks, lets everything air dry. And then we've been friends with him for a number of years. So sometimes I'll go in and I'll dig through his scrap piles because he has wood that he can't use. As a lot of times he's building chairs are kind of his specialty. So he has to have like a very straight grain in order to build what he wants. So if he gets a board that's real gnarly or it's got knots or the grain is swirling, things that are not conducive to what he's trying to work with, then a lot of times it'll end up in a scrap pile. So I'll just dig through his scrap piles, looking because I personally like the wood that has like kind of the crazy grain, or maybe it's spalted, or it has weird knots in it, or maybe it was cut from a weird part of the tree where maybe a branch was coming out. And so to me that just adds character to the wood, and I would rather have something like that than to go to the craft aisle and find this really boring square piece of plain white wood that has no character to it. Is that one easier to burn on? Yeah, probably. But I don't know. A lot of times I try to let the character of the wood come through and not completely cover it all. So I'll go to him, look for boards, and then we do have an electric planer we can run the boards through, but maximum width on that is just shy of 11 inches. So any board that's wider than 11 inches is not going to fit through the planer. So I end up doing a lot of hand planing. I don't know if you've ever seen a hand plane. You like
Yeah.
push them through. I don't know if the movement translates. I probably should have had the tools here, but a lot of hand planing, sanding, until I get the boards flat and smooth. Because when they run them through the sawmill, a lot of times the blades will leave marks on the boards, and you'll see the motion, like the cuts from the blades. So, which is not ideal for burning on. So I need to at least get them smooth and even to start. So there's some days that, or multiple days, where I'll get whatever I bought from him, the whole haul, and I'll just spend days just planing and prepping and getting boards to the point where they're ready to be burned. So there's a lot of work on the front end before I even start the burning process. So yeah, it's it's a whole ordeal going from, literally a chunk of wood to a finished product.
Realize how much prep work was involved in wood burning. You'd think you just get, oh, I found some driftwood, got the tools, I've got the design, let's go nuts.
I
Knowing me, I would
mean, you
do
probably
that
could.
though.
I don't have any driftwood where I live. I'm kind of landlocked here, but that could be cool. I need to go find myself some driftwood. Yeah, no, I mean, I get people calling me, texting me, like, hey, this tree fell in my yard. You want to come get it? And I'm just like, I have to have a trailer to haul a tree, first of all. Then I need a sawmill, and I also got to get out like yeah. So I'm
What,
like, I
what
wish I
else do
could
you have to
help you.
get out?
Look at the chainsaw, like So, like, if you can get somebody to come and cut it in smaller pieces, yes, I can haul away. Like, as long as it'll fit in the back of my Subaru, like, sure, I'll haul it away. But, I do have some limitations on what I can move. But it is a good workout some days, depending on how much I'm lifting.
Becky, we've had a full-blown tree fall over. Oh, can you come get it? Yeah, or just bring the car around.
Yeah, I literally have had people call me and text me that. Like, well, wait, so it was a cherry. It's beautiful. Come get it. Like, cherry wood is beautiful. I don't know how I'm going to move that.
Oh, blossom tree that fell over in the garden. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think part of it too is like maybe they're trying to like honor the life of the tree. They feel bad just chopping it up and having somebody like haul it away. They're like, well, man, like this could be turned into something beautiful, which I'm all about. But yeah, sometimes there's just the challenge of okay, how do we get it here?
Think of finding materials to haul in your back of your car. What type of wood would you like burning art on?
What type of wood?
Yeah, so you got
I
all got my
mean,
head now, but you know what I mean. So we were thinking about the
yeah,
cherry.
I mean, primarily I work with a lot of maple, a lot of walnut. I can burn on pine, but pine is very sappy and sticky. So if it's not properly dried or kiln dried, it can be pretty nasty to work with. It smokes a lot. So, I mean, walnut, maple, there's a minimal amount of smoke that occurs when you're burning. But the woods that are sappy or softer tend to create a lot more smoke. So, like when I first started this and I didn't know what I was doing, I used to burn a lot. And then I think at about year 2 or 3 into this, I realized I started developing a cough and I was having like my chest felt heavy. It almost felt like I had a brick sitting on my chest. And I realized like, man, it's like all the smoke that I'm inhaling. And so now I always burn outside. I have a fan, proper ventilation. I wear a mask. And then for smaller projects, I actually designed a box and I don't know how to describe it. I don't know if you've ever seen like a NICUs. I don't know if that's a proper term over there, but like preemie babies, like they have like those contained boxes that they will keep them in so that they don't get sick. Like when they're born, like premature, when they're real small. So it's almost like that. It's like a self-contained box, and we have a fan built into it that's like negatively creates negative pressure. So then it actually has a tube that goes to a window. So it's pulling the smoke out of the house and blowing it outdoors. Because I was burning in the house and I realized, okay, not only is the smoke going to affect me, but it's probably going to affect my family as well because it's just in the air in the house. It's like somebody smoking in the house. So if I have a small enough project, sometimes I'll work within that. But these days I find myself doing a lot of really large scale projects. So then I just end up doing it, outside in the garage or in the shop where I can open windows and have fans and have proper ventilation. So I would say anybody getting into into this art form, keep that in mind, to take proper precautions for your breathing because, yeah, it can cause just like if you were a heavy smoker, it can cause breathing issues because it is carbon, it's a carcinogen, it can cause lung cancer. So
That makes sense. Though I grew up when I
so
was
not always
young.
the safest art form.
Something I've kind of learned is that when people aspire to be something, they see what's shown to them, but not all the behind the scenes stuff. With the podcast, people see our conversation, but they don't see the behind the scenes stuff. So with you, with like all the precaution, that would be your behind the scenes stuff. And with me, with the editing podcast, that'd be my version. So I think it could be fair to say there's a lot with your profession, well, with any profession, but yours in particular with the health and safety side of things, where most people even think about it because they just don't.
Yeah, I mean, and that's true of people that are woodworkers as well. Like I started taking shop classes, whatever that's what we call them here. I don't know what you guys call them. Like in middle school, I think like seventh grade, we had like our first shop class, which is, you're getting introduced to all the standard tools, your table saws, your chop saws, your drill presses, all that kind of stuff. And then I took it in 8th grade again. And then when I got into high school, I really got interested like into architecture. So I was taking building trades classes, and I was learning to construct roofs and run wiring and all that kind of stuff. And so anybody that's kind of in the skilled trades or woodworking, like you're around dust, you're around finishes. Even if you're just somebody that like refinishes furniture pieces, like if you're using paint thinners or varnishes, like all of that stuff has fumes, and the dust, that's like you need proper ventilation for all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I did what we call in the UK. I did the shop work, order design, which is a very fancy term for woodwork. UK, yeah, oh, really fancy. But I remember from my experience, we had to be constantly cautious of the sawdust from cutting the wood, so we'd have to wear aprons. Yeah, I'm not kidding. Here's a saw blade for cutting metal pipes. Now go use it. Oh, nuts.
Do you at least wear like the safety goggles?
No.
Oh gosh.
No, we didn't.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you're in a regular shop class, I'm like they probably had like a large vacuum system, I would assume that
No.
maybe is no.
No.
No. Oh, okay. Well.
Cultural differences, everyone. Well, UK don't really care about health and safety, although we claim to. The US, they don't claim at all, but clearly they do. Yay!
I mean, I'm sure it depends on where you're at. I mean, my husband and I'll talk about like, oh, like what classes did you take in school? I'm like, oh, I did this and I did that. And so he came from a very small farm town, and then I grew up actually outside of Chicago. So just even the differences in our education and like what we experienced and what we had access to varies greatly. But the town I grew up in had a lot more money versus where he was coming from, and obviously a lot larger population too. So if they're taxing, the taxes were much higher, but that gives the schools a much larger pool of money to work with, so they can offer shop classes, they can offer all this kind of stuff. Whereas where he's coming from, obviously the pool is much smaller, they don't have as many funds to work with. So sometimes it's just kind of funny to compare like his experiences to my experiences and just be like, wow, like I can't believe like we grew up in the same state, like same time period, but yet it's so different just geographically, like what you had access to and what the schools were invested in.
Yeah, we've not got enough money. Hope you pass your exams. Good luck.
Yeah.
So what would you like? What would be the top of the cake? Well, cherry on top type of art piece.
I don't even know. I don't feel like I'm there yet. I feel like I'm just constantly evolving and coming up with new ideas. I'm like, oh, this would be cool. Like, let's try this. Let's do this. I'm slowly kind of transitioning more into like a mixed media type art where it's not just burning, it's not just painting. I'm starting to like layer other things into it using other materials, glue on top. I started working with like epoxy resin, which I hate resin. I don't know if you've ever seen. So that's like when they pour, it's basically like a liquid plastic and it hardens. So like for a while there was like the river tables, at least over here, were very big, like where it would have like the resin poured down the middle and the wood would be on the sides, and sometimes they would swirl it or sometimes like put things into the resin, like that was really popular for a while. And so I have worked with that. I hate it because it's like
Go
if
on.
you
Why
don't
is
get
it
the mix
bad?
just if you don't get the mix just right, like measure it just right and get it's almost like baking, but like way worse. Like if everything's not perfectly proportioned, like it's just like it'll never cure. It stays sticky forever. And you've got to mix it forever and get all the little bubbles out because you get air bubbles when you're mixing the two compounds together. And then you've got to if you're going to do it professionally, you almost need to have like a whole setup to keep dust off of it, because any little particle of dust, if it falls into it while it's still curing, like messes up your finish. It's just, I don't enjoy it. I have worked with it. I've done it. I'm okay at it. There's people that are fantastic. Like they can pour it and it looks pristine, like clear glass, like perfect. I'm not there yet. I don't know that I ever will be because that's not my main focus. But yeah, just I like to keep changing up materials, just working with different stuff. I mean, I feel like over the years I've done a little bit of everything. I mean, I started out with charcoals and watercolors. I've done acrylics, I've done oils, I've done photography, I've done jewelry, I've done stained glass, I've done fused glass, I've done pastels, I've done oil pastels, I've done obviously colored pencils, markers, all that kind of stuff, especially with architecture, renderings. So I don't know that I've welded. I've taken welding classes, so I can weld. But I just feel like, yeah, it's kind of fun just trying to like pull all that knowledge in and like just kind of work with everything. And just, I think I'm at the point where I'm just wanting to like do more fusion with the different styles and get more mixed media, just different styles and kind of put them together. I don't know. I don't know what my ultimate piece would be because it's just I'm always changing and looking for new techniques and new mediums. So I guess I can't really answer your question.
Yeah, it sounds like you found more of a jack of all trades. You've just chucked it all into burning wood.
I mean, this is where I've kind of settled in for now. So yeah, again, I feel like I kept changing because I mean, a lot of that was like in my younger years when I was a kid. Like, some kids go to summer camp or they're really good at sports. I'm not good at sports. So my mom would be like, well, let's just do art classes. So I would take, cartooning classes and painting classes and sculpture classes and just like, because that's just what made me happy. That's like, so my mom was like encouraging me, like, sure, like, let's go do this, And so I just kept trying different things. And I don't know, the wood burning I seem to have success with that. I enjoy it. And it's a challenge to just kind of keep improving my skills, but also just constantly changing mediums and subject matters, challenging too. So maybe I'm a bad artist because I don't have like one specific thing that I do really, really well. Maybe that's a bad thing. I don't know. But I prefer a challenge and trying to push myself rather than like, wow, I can burn dragons really well. I'm just gonna like mass produce and make thousands of dragons over and over and over again.
Don't dig at me, Jackie.
I have done a dragon, but yeah, I guess maybe I'll never get perfect at any one particular thing just because I do keep changing what I'm working on, but I'm okay with that, I guess.
Can't like with me when it comes to reading books, one thing to the next.
Yeah.
Jackie Lewis, everyone. Where can people find you if I want to learn more about you?
Probably the easiest to find me would be Pyrography, artist Jackie Lewis on Instagram, which would be PYROGRAPHY_artist_Jackie, JACKIE _Lewis LEWIS. So that's the account that I'm best at updating. We'll put it that way. I do have a Facebook, and then I also have websites as well that are linked to my Instagram because I do the furniture building and I do graphic design as well. So if you go to Instagram, I have links like to all those other websites as well. So if people are looking for logos or, branding, I do that too. If you're looking for a table, I can build you a table. Yeah, the jack of all trades. Which is kind of funny because my mom literally calls me Jack. So, yeah, I mean, that's probably the best place to find me.
I hope you enjoyed that burning episode of Jackie Lewis, no pun intended. If you want more content surrounding the creative industry, then I have Tim McBride, who's the author of Vessels of Core Conquest, and Michaeli Daniels and Haley Rogers, the hosts of Two Chicks and a Plot Twist podcast, right here.